concentrate on the Supreme Lord and pray for the well-being of the whole humanity. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Stapakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Stapakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namaha. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us bow down to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been discussing Sri Ramakrishna's teachings, how we should go towards God, what needs to be done in order to move towards God. The world is there with all its attractions. Then how you conduct yourself in this world, that is important. If you want world is there. Enjoy immensely. But in enjoying the world, you are not acquiring any freedom. On the other hand, you will be more in bondage. Again and again, you have to be born in this world to reap the reaction of your deeds. So you are caught in the wheel of action and reaction. In that process, you can never be really happy. At times you will be happy, but at times you will be unhappy. So you will be always passing through happiness and unhappiness alternately, sometimes more unhappiness in a way. And sometimes you get frustrated on account of some disappointments. Sometimes you can't fulfill all the desires which you want to do. So in that process you become restless and become tension oriented. So then you begin to question why all this is happening. Why is there this unhappiness and all this evil in this world? If God is there, why should He not see everything good immediately, instantly? Now here we have to be analytical, be open-minded. this world is there for you not simply to enjoy, but to learn a lesson. You are here to learn a lesson. The world provides you a lesson. Things happen in such a way, you have to accept things of this world are transitory. Nothing is real. Keeps on changing all the time. So, why should I be dragged towards that? So your thinking direction gets corrected. Sri Ramakrishna gives a very fine example. There is a mixture of sand and sugar. Be like an ant, take sugar only. There is a mixture of milk and water. Be a swan, which takes only milk. In the same way, this world is full of all types of forces. Broad classification, good and evil, they always exist. With all this advancement in technology, having increased all our creature comforts, still we are not able to eliminate evil. Problems do exist and they always exist. It is true you have solved some problems. By the time you solved some problems, another set of problems come and sit there. Come on, now we are here, solve. So, problems will be always there. As long as the world exists, so long the problems do exist. So long the forces, good and evil, do exist. So what? So what? So we have come here not to simply get lost in this whirlwind of the worldly activities, but to be wise enough. Well, I should know the truth. I should go beyond this good and evil. I must know the reality. To know that reality means to reach God, to see God, to communicate with God. That's all. It comes to that point. So, we have to have some knowledge, and then we must put our whole heart in trying to achieve the goal. So, your life's direction depends upon setting up your goal. If your goal is to have worldly type of activities, if you want to rise up with name and fame, if you want to have good position, if you want to have more wealth, etc., you are forced to go in that direction, and all your energy is utilized in that way. Same thing should be applied. If you want God, if you want to know the truth, then you must divert all your attention towards this spiritual activity. That means spiritual practice. You have to be practical. That's all the substance of what I am talking. So, You know the thing so that you can become practical. But then never be under the impression that book knowledge is essential for God realization. Never be under that impression. Sri Ramakrishna says, think not that book knowledge is essential for God realization. People have that notion. They believe that they have to study various scriptures. And this is beyond the reach of the common man. Does that mean that such aspirants who form the majority of the people are ordinary? Do you mean to say they are denied the attainment of truth and that it is only the property of the Pandits? In order to realize God, you should be a scholar, you should be a Pandit. Is it like that? That's an important question. Sri Ramakrishna dispels all such wrong notions. He assures everyone, whether learned or illiterate, that it is not learning of scriptures which helps you to realize the truth. But then what? Devotion and spiritual discipline. Devotion and spiritual discipline, which will lead you towards God. Sri Ramakrishna says, really, I don't feel sorry in the least that I have not read the Vedanta or the other scriptures. I know that the essence of Vedanta is that Brahman alone is real and the world illusory. That's all. That's the conclusion. All the scriptures want to establish this truth. Brahman alone is real and everything else is illusory. And what is the essence of the Gita? Sri Ramakrishna tells again, Bhagavad Gita, the famous Hindu scriptures which deals with the philosophy of life, philosophy of action, philosophy of meditation. So, what is the essence of the Gita, which has more than 700 verses and 18 chapters dealing with specific subjects, with all the yogas, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, all these yogas, Sankhya yoga, they're all very nicely dealt with in the scripture Bhagavad Gita. Then Sri Ramakrishna tells here a very important point. What is the essence of all these teachings in the Gita? And Sri Ramakrishna himself tells that. It is so amazing. Do you know the essence of the Gita? You repeat the word Gita 10 times. What will happen? See. Gita, 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 Gita. That means if you repeat non-stop, at least 10 times, you feel that the word is then reversed into Tagi. Gita, 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 Tagi. Tagi means, Tyaga means sacrifice. Give up. Renunciation. That's the meaning of Tyagi. If you are not renouncing your worldly aspirations, it is impossible for you to come towards God. That's what it means. So, that means the world is here to teach you a lesson on renunciation. You feel vairagya, dispassion. You feel, you come to a point, well, I don't need any enjoyment. Enough of it. Enough, enough, enough. Enough. So, you will learn that, but you are learning it through very painful experience. It's not easy learning. You are passing through fire of suffering. Through intense suffering, you learn that it is really useless to tie down to this world. On the other hand, I should devote myself to see God. Then you are resetting your goal. Resetting. Hitherto your goal was how to acquire maximum glory in this world. But now it is reversed. No more this hallucination. The real glory lies in reaching God, in knowing the truth, in knowing what you are, in knowing the substratum of everything. So, the aspirant should hear the essence of the scripture from the Guru. Then he should practice austerity and devotion. That is a practical aspect of spirituality. It is, you have to practice austerity. You have to practice devotion. It's very important. And Sri Ramakrishna gives another example. A man gets a letter from the home. And he needs that letter as long as he has not learned its contents. Once he has known what is there in the letter, afterwards the letter is of no use to him. Likewise, what need is there of the scriptures if you know their essence? The next thing is, most important thing is, practice of the spiritual discipline. Practice of the spiritual discipline. And Sri Ramakrishna goes a step further. Studying is all right. Reading the scriptures is all right. But not too much study of all the different scriptures. And Sri Ramakrishna says, if you keep on reading all types of books and all sorts of books, they may do more harm than good. You may tend to confuse yourself with so many ideas clashing. You will not be able to organize the mind in a proper way. So mind is dragged in different directions. Sometimes this idea will come, next time another idea will come. Next moment a third idea will come, fourth idea will come. So the ideas keep jumping and overlapping on the mind, and there is every possibility you may get into some confusion. Not only that, you will be inclined to argumentation. Arguing for anything and everything. There are many Pandits who speak words of wisdom, but they are only Pandits because they are not practical in what they say. They merely talk. They don't live up to them. You may learn a great deal from books, but it is futile if you have no love for God, if you have no desire to realize Him. Even though you have read all the books, what of that? A Pandit may have studied many scriptures, he may recite many sacred texts, he may speak words of wisdom, he may quote scriptures, he may take pride in his knowledge of the books. Thereby he may look upon others with contempt. Sri Ramakrishna compares such Pandits to vultures. Vultures. They soar very high in the sky, but their eyes are fixed on the charnel pit below. By mere scholarship, you may fool a person, but not God. Sri Ramakrishna finally tells the aspirant that one does not really need to study the different scriptures. If one has no discrimination, one doesn't achieve anything through mere scholarship, even though one may have studied all the 6 systems of philosophy. Call on God. Cry to Him secretly in solitude. Pray to Him to grant His vision. Concentrate in getting the vision of God. Then He will give you all that you need. One doesn't lack wisdom if he has the grace of God. The fool becomes wise and the mute eloquent. Probably, I don't know whether you have heard of a famous poet, Kalidas, in India, just like Shakespeare. His works, they're all in Sanskrit, remarkably great. Remarkably great. I have studied some of the Kalidasa's works. You really get into ecstasy if you read them. Of course, you must know the language, that's true. But the way he has written, amazing beauty. Amazing beauty. Even to study Kalidasa's works, you must learn Sanskrit. Dr. Radhakrishnan, one of our great persons in India, he said, in order to read and understand Swami Vivekananda's teachings, you learn English. So, this Kalidas, who was he? He was a mere shepherd. Mere shepherd. But then he was every day going to Kali temple and worshipping her in his own humble way. He did not know any rituals. A shepherd boy, how does he know anything? But he had tremendous faith and devotion to the mother. That was enough. The result was he got the vision of the Divine Mother. So he is called as Kalidasa. Kalidasa means the servant. Dasa means servant. Servant of Kali, servant of the Divine Mother. That means, I'm just giving the example how the fool becomes wise. And here, God is giving you the wisdom. You will be truly wise person, not the fake ones. Once a man's inner spirit is awakened, once he succeeds in knowing God, he doesn't feel the desire even to know about all this rubbish. There are so many things. What need is there to know? What need? Now, so the substance of this teaching is that it is not that one must have the scriptural knowledge to realize God. Sri Ramakrishna says it is not necessary. And you don't have to read so many books at all. Have selected books, particularly chosen by your Guru. Read them. Get your ideas cleared. Then try to apply them without wasting any more time. That means become practical immediately. Don't postpone. You have already postponed a lot of time. Every moment is precious. Without the life, before the life goes away, you must achieve something. That something should be very precious. That is, you must go in the direction of God. And you must aspire strongly to see Him. Even though your life goes away, you will be born again with the same aspiration, and you will continue your spiritual practices and you will reach the goal. So once a man's inner spirit is awakened, once he succeeds in knowing God, he doesn't feel any desire for anything of this world. All his desires are fulfilled by knowing God, by seeing God, by reaching God. He gets total fulfillment. So next point which Sri Ramakrishna says, some people are in the habit of going pilgrimage. It's not bad. Going pilgrimage is not bad at all. But what Sri Ramakrishna is telling that going on pilgrimage is not essential for God realization. That means in order to realize God, you must undertake pilgrimage. No. That's what Sri Ramakrishna wants to tell. So, it's not possible for all the people to undertake pilgrimage. Does it mean that they are unable to do that pilgrimage so they can't have Lord's grace? Sri Ramakrishna says, what is needed is that the love of God is the one essential and necessary thing that is needed. If you have love of God, you are bound to get God's grace. That means you will recognize God's grace more clearly. Recognition of God's grace is possible if you have love towards God. But if you divert your mind on the world, even if God comes in front of you, it won't make any change in you at all. So many people were coming to Sri Ramakrishna Some of the people were telling to his friends, how long will you sit here? We will be waiting for you in the boat. Like that, the people whose mind were inclined towards world, they could not stand. They could not stand this spiritual vibration. They simply would walk away. They would rather prefer to wait in the boat than sitting and hearing what Sri Ramakrishna was talking about. That means if your mind is not ready, then if your aspiration is not for God, then even if God comes and stands before you, it will have no effect upon you at all. So, how necessary it is to prepare the mind. How necessary to have strong aspiration to realize God. So, that's a very important thing. What one seeks is very near him, still he wanders from place to place. As long as one feels that God is there somewhere, he is ignorant. But he attains knowledge when he feels that God is here. What's the need of making pilgrimages if you can attain love of God remaining where you are? And Sri Ramakrishna tells, I have been to Benares, a famous pilgrim center. What did I notice there? I noticed the same trees as there are in other places, the same green tamarind leaves. What difference is there? He gave two parables to illustrate this futile exercise of a vagrant. Simply wandering from place to place will not give you realization of God. And Sri Ramakrishna explains it in a wonderful way through parables. Once a bird was sitting on the mast of a ship absent-mindedly. The ship was moving in the ocean. When it has covered a long distance in the ocean, immediately the bird became aware of it. It wanted to go away, so it flew towards north in search of land. But how it is possible for the bird to find land? It is almost in the middle of the ocean. It could not find land in the direction where it went. Then it returned. The same thing happened when it flew in other directions also. Then, finding there is no limit to the water in any direction, it settled down on the mast of the ship. It is no more restless or worried. It simply stayed there. It stayed there. Finally the ship reached the land and the bird could reach the land. And another example Sri Ramakrishna gives, very fine example. A man wanted to smoke. At the dead of night he wanted to smoke. So he went to a neighbor's house to light his pipe. The people in the neighboring home, they were all asleep. He knocked at the door. After some time, somebody came and opened it. And they asked him what he wanted. He said he wanted fire to light the charcoal of his pipe. And the neighbor laughed at him and said, "What? You took the trouble to come and do all this knocking at the door? Why did you do that? You have a lighted lantern in your hand. The light is already there. Not knowing it, you wander here and there in search of it, wasting your valuable life. That's all, what all we are doing. Though God is there, very near, we are searching for Him in all different directions. In order to search God, you must go within, not without. God is within you. You are the shrine of God. Your heart is the shrine of God. Meditate on Him. Love Him. Be devoted to Him. Certainly you will see God. Certainly. There is no doubt about it. You can doubt other things, not about this. Sri Ramakrishna tells God can be seen, and he has seen God, so he is telling, so it is a fact. So that's the second point which Sri Ramakrishna is highlighting. That is, you don't have to be wandering, running here and there. Sit in one place and you can achieve the goal. Concentrate and focus your attention within, meditate on your heart and realize the truth. Now the third point which Sri Ramakrishna tells is also very important for our spiritual way of life. See, we are dealing with this subject, how to approach God, how to go towards God. This is the 9th serial I am speaking on this subject. And another important instruction Sri Ramakrishna gives you how to make your spiritual ways well established and how you should take protective steps, protective measures. You have to guard yourself. You are your own security guard. So, if you are in spiritual life, you must be more watchful than in the worldly life. In the worldly life, even though you are a little careless, it doesn't matter. But in spiritual life, even if you are careless a little bit, you are gone. It is like sliding downwards. A slip means you are simply drawn and dashed towards the ground from the high mountain top. Going to spiritual life means you are ascending. And so you have to be careful and take all steps required to protect yourself from all hurdles on the way, so that you can march effectively and successfully towards the goal. So Sri Ramakrishna tells here, very important point. You may tell it is not possible, but from spiritual point of view, I should say, even if it is not possible, you should make it possible. Otherwise, there is no guarantee that you'll be able to walk through spiritual way. Here what Sri Ramakrishna tells is that avoid contact with the bad and the wicked. And next point he tells, to protect yourself from such people, hiss but do not bite. This is a statement, teaching of Sri Ramakrishna. Avoid contact with the bad and the wicked. To protect yourself from such people, hiss but do not bite. Sri Ramakrishna by this statement warrants that an aspirant should not have dealings with the unholy, with the wicked and the impure ones. You must not be intimate with such people. With some you may exchange words, but with others you should not go even that far. You should keep aloof from such people. But if it becomes necessary to face a wicked man, suppose any moment he may attack you, then you should make a show of tamas to protect yourself from evil-minded people. But you should not actually harm anybody. Here also Sri Ramakrishna relates a very touching parable to illustrate this point. It's a very interesting story, but it has got a very great lesson. Very great lesson. There lived a ferocious serpent, a cobra, king cobra. The king cobra, some cobras are very aggressive. They attack you unprovoked. Simply they attack, aggressive. The cobras are like that. And cobra bite sometimes will be always fatal. It may kill a person if it bites. So there once lived a ferocious serpent in a grazing ground where the cowherd boys used to go with their cows for grazing. And the boys were afraid of the snake because they knew it was very ferocious and it may bite anybody. So they would never dare to go in the vicinity of that serpent where it lived. Once a brahmacharin, a holy man, came that way. Immediately the boys warned him, "Please sir, don't go there, near that area. There's a terrible serpent. It may do harm, it may bite you, you may be killed." But the brahmachari said, no, he is not afraid of such things. He knows how to handle it. So he went near the place where the serpent lived, and as anticipated, the serpent with raising its hood, it just was about to attack, was about to bite this holy man. Then this holy man had some spiritual powers. He recited some mantras. The effect was the serpent, instead of doing any harm, it just lay at his feet. It became meek like an earthworm. Then the holy man, he could communicate with the serpent. He scolded it and he told the snake, "Why are you harming the people unnecessarily? Why do you do that? Don't do it anymore. Don't harm. Don't bite them." And then he gave a holy word. In a way, he initiated the serpent. And he initiated the serpent into spiritual life. And he gave the advice to the serpent to get rid of its violent nature and repeat the holy word, by doing which it would learn to love God and realize Him ultimately. Then the brahmachari left the place, promising to return. He will come after some time, he told the serpent. Now, days passed by. Subsequently, the boys noticed that the serpent would not bite them anymore. It was not hissing. It was not coming aggressively. It was trying to avoid them. It did not show anger even when they threw stones at it. Now the boys became mischievous. See the fun. One day, one of the boys caught hold of this serpent by its tail, whirled it round and round, and dashed the serpent repeatedly on the ground, and then threw it away. Such a brutal thing these boys did for that serpent. The serpent vomited blood. It became unconscious, thinking that the serpent was dead. The boys left. It could hardly move. The whole body was aching, feeling terrible pain. Many days passed and the snake became emaciated. For fear of the boys, it would come out only at night times in search of food, and somehow it maintained its life on leaves and fruits that dropped from the trees. Since receiving the sacred word from the teacher, it had stopped harming anybody. 1 year passed. Then that holy man came back to know what had happened to the serpent. He inquired about it, and the people of the village told how that serpent was dead. But the holy man knew that it could not die before attaining the fruit of the holy mantra with which it had been initiated. So he knew how to communicate with the serpent, so he called out for his serpent. Hearing the master's voice, the serpent came out slowly and offered its salutations at his feet. And the teacher was very sad to see the serpent. It had become so thin. And he asked it, "Why? What has happened to you? Why have you become weak?" That snake had developed the quality of sattva. It could not become angry with anyone. And it had even forgotten what the cowherd boys had done to it. But when the brahmachari, the holy man, insisted, then the snake said, "Well, the boys one day dashed me violently against the ground." But even then, the serpent was telling, those boys, after all, they were ignorant. They did not realize what a great change had come over my mind. How could they know I wouldn't bite or harm anyone? Then the brahmachari exclaimed, "What a shame! You are such a fool. You don't even know how to protect yourself. I asked you not to bite, but I didn't forbid you to hiss. Why didn't you scare them by hissing? So, you must hiss at the wicked people. You must frighten them lest they should do you harm. But never inject your venom into them. One must not injure others." That's the teaching Sri Ramakrishna has given us. When you come to spiritual life means never harm anybody, never think ill of anyone. Try to guard yourself from all the dangers. Take protective measures and apply your mind totally in the spiritual practice, then you will be able to move forward in your spiritual journey towards God. Let us stop here. Page 645. Mahimacharan said, "That is true, sir. Work is certainly necessary. One must labor hard. Only then does one succeed. There is so much to read. The scriptures are endless." Master said to Mahimacharan, "How much of the scriptures can you read? What will you gain by mere reasoning? Try to realize God before anything else. Have faith in the Guru's words and work. If you have no Guru, then pray to God with a longing heart. He will let you know what He is like. What will you learn of God from the books? As long as you are at a distance from the marketplace, you hear only an indistinct roar. But it is quite different when you are actually there. Then you hear and see everything distinctly. You hear people saying, 'Here are your potatoes, take them and give me money.' From a distance you hear only the rumbling noise of the ocean. Go near it and you will see many boats sailing about, birds flying and waves rolling. One cannot get true feeling about God from the study of books. This feeling is something very different from book learning. Books, scriptures and science appear as mere dirt and straw after the realization of God. The one thing needful is to be introduced to the master of the house. Why are you so anxious to know beforehand how many houses and gardens and how many government securities the master possesses? The servants of the house would not allow you even to approach these, and they would certainly not tell you about their master's investments. Therefore, somehow or other, become acquainted with the master, even if you have to jump over the fence or take a few pushes from the servants. Then the master himself will tell you all about his houses and gardens and his government securities. And what is more, the servants and the doorkeepers will salute you when you are known to the master or laugh. Devotee said, "Now the question is how to become acquainted with the master." Laughter. Sri Ramakrishna said, "That's why I say that work is necessary. It will not do to say that God exists and then idle away your time. You must reach God somehow or other. Call on Him in solitude and pray to Him, 'O Lord, reveal Thyself to me.' Weep for Him with a longing heart. You roam about in search of lust and gold like a madman. Now be a little mad for God. Let people say, 'This man has lost his head for God.' Why not renounce everything for a few days and call on God in solitude? What will you achieve by simply saying that God exists and doing nothing about it? There are big fish in the Haldar Pukkar, but can you catch them by merely sitting idly on the bank? Prepare some special bait, some spiced bait, and throw it into the lake. Then the fish will come from the deep water and you will see ripples. That will make you happy. Perhaps a fish will jump with a splash and you will get a glimpse of it. Then you will be so glad. Milk must be turned into curd and the curd must be churned. Only then will you get butter." To Mahima, Sri Ramakrishna said, "What a nuisance! Someone must throw God to a man? Someone must show God to a man while he himself sits idly by all the while?" Someone must extract the butter and hold it in front of his mouth? Allah, what a bother! Someone else must catch the fish and give it to him. A man wanted to see the king. The king lived in the inner court of the palace beyond 7 gates. No sooner did the man pass the first gate than he exclaimed, "Oh, where is the king?" But there were 7 gates and he must pass them one after another before he could see the king. Mahimacharya said, "By what kind of work can one realize God?" Sri Ramakrishna said, "It is not that God can be realized by this work and not by that. The vision of God depends on His grace. Still, a man must work a little with longing for God in his heart. If he has longing, he will receive the grace of God. To attain God, a man must have certain favorable conditions. The company of holy men, discrimination, and the blessings of a real teacher. Perhaps his elder brother takes the responsibility for the family. Perhaps his wife has spiritual qualities and is very virtuous. Perhaps he is not married at all or entangled in worldly life. He succeeds when conditions like these are fulfilled." We shall stop here. Any questions? No, I didn't say today that. No, the point is, all these forces are there in this world. Both good and evil forces are always there. Even the best government comes, you can't eliminate evil. It takes a different turn. It assumes different way. It goes in a different way, but its nature, evil quality will be there in a different form. But it stays there as long as this world is there. These forces are always there. But you must know how to distinguish what is good and what is bad, discard the bad and hold on to the good. That's why I give the example of what Sri Ramakrishna said. There's a mixture of sand and sugar. Be an ant and take sugar only. So world is a mixture of good and bad. Hold on to the good, reject the evil. That's the way how to go towards God. Of course, many things happen on account of our own actions. This good and bad also are open for interpretation. What is good for one is bad for the other. What is bad for one is good for another. So good and bad, there are relative terms. They have tremendous interpretations. And what one country decides good may be bad for the other country. What the other country decides good may be bad for the third country. So what is needed is use your mind properly, apply your mind and fix your goal, and whatever that comes interrupts in your way must be removed. That's the way how you must approach yourself and develop good qualities. Good qualities. Format yourself properly, then everything will come all right. It takes time. We have to work for it. One has to work. That's the meaning of spiritual practice. Spiritual practice means you are working for it. It takes long time, no doubt. It depends upon the accumulated impurities of the mind. If your mind is clean and clear, this moment you will realize God. So, seeing God, realizing Him depends on the state of your mind. How far your mind is transparent. Mostly the mind is completely opaque because of the worldly tendencies and worldly distractions and so many things. And you forget your true self and you search for something else outside and you won't get what you're searching for. You get frustrated and then you turn back. That's the thing. Yes. Any question? Do you have?
continue. Descartes,
Yeah.
body and soul and body.
According to Hindu way of thinking, the reality, when I say the reality, it refers to God. That is, the real means it should never change. It should not keep on changing. That means unchanging, eternal. It has no death. So, that is the substratum. That is the reality. This whole world is doing all its activities because of the ground reality. The ground reality is God. The substratum is God. It's just like when you go to the movie, you see nice movies on the screen, but the screen is stable. All the other things you are seeing in the screen, if the screen is not there, you are not able to see any film at all. In the same way, if God presence is not there, where is this world? Where are you? Where do we go? So, what is the meaning of going and coming? What for you are going? What for you are coming? Just to build a house, you are coming? Just to acquire more wealth? Then what? You again have to go. No, I want to get happiness. But do you really get happiness? You are constantly being rubbed. Instead of getting happiness, you are constantly getting unhappiness. In fact, if you just observe your own life, you understand the ratio. Then you'll be shocked to see you have more unpleasant times than the pleasant ones. So, but as I said during the course of my talk, this world is there so that you can learn a lesson, so that you can go towards God. That's the meaning. You are here undergoing suffering in order to get out of suffering. That's the point. In order to get out of suffering, you have to think of God. If you have to be away from the burning heat, you have to get away from the fire. Then you will be free from the burning heat. In the same way, if you have to get over from this suffering, you have to turn back from this world which is causing suffering to you. What is this world? World is the place where your desires are being played upon. You are playing upon desires. As long as you are playing with desires, you are bound to suffer. At times you may feel little happy, but it's temporary. But seeing God means you get permanent happiness. That's the meaning of samadhi. Samadhi means once you enjoy that ecstasy, then you feel everything else is trash. All the happiness, the sum total of all the happiness one could get through his healthy organs, all this put together will be equal to a drop of the happiness you get when seeing God, by seeing God. You get much more. Even all the happiness put together in this world is just a drop in the ocean of the happiness you get when you see God. That's why they become unconscious, that they become totally uplifted. That's what you must see, that Sri Ramakrishna's experience in Great Master, it is very nicely explained. How when he got the vision of the mother, how he fell into ecstasy, he fell down actually. And once there was a devotee, his name is Adhar Sen, very, very great devotee. He would come to Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna gave him a lot of spiritual instructions, and he was a very great devotee. Sri Ramakrishna recognized it. And Sri Ramakrishna himself referred to him as a great devotee. And he told somebody, look, he's a great devotee of the Divine Mother. And then he told him, he called him and said, look, from today, don't ride horseback. He was going by horseback. He was a high court judge. So those days, people would go by horse. And Sri Ramakrishna knew that some danger is there. So he warned him, don't ride horse anymore. But one day it so happened he had to go, and he went by horse. But while returning after his work, he fell down from the horse and he died. But then Sri Ramakrishna explains that why he fell down from the horse. Was he sick? No. He was healthy. He was not sick. But why did he fall? Because he had the vision of the mother. When he got the vision of the Divine Mother, he fell into ecstasy. So he went beyond body, mind, consciousness. So he lost the balance. So from the physical point of view, he is dead. But from spiritual point of view, he has reached the goal. He has seen the Divine Mother and he was in ecstasy. That's the thing. So what we say unreal is that anything that constantly changes is considered unreal. This world also. Every moment it is changing. So the changing phenomena is considered unreal. So the real one is, in spite of all this changing phenomena, there's one thing which is not changing, that we call Brahman or God. That's all. Anything else? We shall stop. Sri Ramachandra, one of the incarnations of God, chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years. When my heart burns away with its desire, and this world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stealest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous die in tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works be satisfied, for he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased, he being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.